Chess Kids, everyone likes a number 1 versus number 2 battle, and I cannot believe it. But at the time of this recording, Hikaru Nakamura is back to world number 2. You can't count the man out. Of course, Magnus Carlsen is still number 1. Let's take a look at a couple of times where Nakamura got the best of Carlsen. Now, it should be said, Carlsen does pretty good against Hikaru in Classical, so most of Hikaru's wins have come in Blitz and Rapid, so we're going to take a look at a couple of those today. First up is a Nakamura win from the year 2000 in a Rapid chess game, and here it was actually pretty equal. Nakamura was black, his rook was attacked, and he said, okay, I'll just move my rook and attack your bishop. Now, what do we say in ChessKid land? We say never answer an attack with an attack. Of course, if you're Magnus, you're probably best advised by ignoring all of my advice because you're Magnus, but general rules are there for a reason because generally they are true. Of course, grandmasters know when to break the rules, but this was not really one of those times. The best move for Magnus was actually just to save the bishop. Yeah, sometimes chess is not very exciting. Somebody attacks your piece, you run away, you live to fight another day. And, white's probably maybe a little better because, bishops are better than knights when pawns are on both sides, but still pretty equal. Instead, Magnus answered an attack with an attack. Does he need to watch my ChessKid videos? Probably not, but he might regret his next move. Instead of just guarding his bishop, he played rook c4. I think he wants to eat both of these knights. Knights are not very good at guarding each other when they are side by side. In fact, it's not really possible. Okay, now this, I should say, was not technically a losing move, but the idea is flawed. So Nakamura just says, okay, thank you for the bishop. And one of the problems with answering an attack with an attack is that your opponent, if he made the first attack, he gets to make the first capture. So you're always sort of playing catch up. Now, in this position, Magnus, I suppose, could have played a really weird move like queen e4, but when somebody captures your piece, your general reaction is to capture back. So Magnus captured back, and then can you see the problem with this move? Yeah, loose pieces drop off. The rook is not defended. We always look for checks and captures, and if that king is there, Hikaru played the very simple move, queen e1, and after the king move, he took the rook, and yeah, that's not a great tactic by Magnus to allow the free rook. Now, Magnus did take, threatening some sort of back rank invasions, although the funny thing is, a move like this or this is not even mate, or even that, because the rook can go back, and the rook is defended by the queen. But nonetheless, Hikaru just guarded his first rank, and then Magnus realized, oops, I think I need to play another chess game, so Magnus resigned in this position. Let's take a look at one more quick win that Hikaru had over Magnus, and it's actually, I think, one of the most easily missed tactics in chess. Now, Hikaru was white in this position against Magnus, also in the year 2000, and it should be said that Nakamura is better. I don't know if it's a winning advantage, but he's definitely a lot better. But in this position, Magnus thought he could get rid of his backward pawn and gain some space by a tactic. So Magnus played bishop takes e4. And the idea is when the queen takes back, which Hikaru did, then d5 forks the queen and the bishop. But the idea of in-between move, intermezzo, Zwischenzug, depending on what language you speak. And in this position, all white has to do is save the queen and make a threat. It's kind of like an in-between move, right? And the queen just slid over to h4, and Magnus probably said whatever the Norwegian word for oops is. Probably oops. And here the problem is you can't really take the bishop because then Hikaru will force your king to the open file, and then the rook will just come over, and it is complete devastation. White is going to be up a piece and probably go into victory. So if we go back to this position, Magnus tried this move knight to g8 to defend this pawn, and now here Hikaru actually could just take this pawn and save the bishop, but he played a slightly more fancy and probably better move, rook to g3, and here it cannot be captured because queen to g4, and there's going to be a total checkmate. And in fact, in this position, even if you spot queen to g4, there's no real way to deal with it. I mean, the king is just in a totally bad spot, and you can't even move the knight to allow the rook to come over, because if you move the knight, it goes from mate in 2 to mate in 1. So again, Magnus had to throw in the towel. Of course, in a future video, we're going to take a look at Magnus getting the best of Hikaru, but this is definitely a rivalry for the ages and something that makes chess so much more exciting.